I'm so sorry to have cut you off during the video there, but my video capability only has a 15-minute max. So I'm going to start that video over for us. And remember, we're talking about the importance of relationships. So here we go. 2003 NBA playoffs. National television. Here comes Maurice Cheeks, who is coach of the Portland Trailblazers, who are playing that night in the game. Love that video. You could see how he quickly built a relationship with her by putting his arm around her, singing with her, getting the whole audience involved. And remember, we said that the two excuses to not building relationships is that we don't have enough time and we're too busy. And I would argue that nobody was busier than Maurice Cheeks that night, since his team was playing in the playoffs and he quickly was able to build a relationship. Here's a few of the emails he got after that showed on television. What he did that night for a young girl in the spotlight will far outweigh, in my mind, anything he will ever do in the NBA. Coach, regardless of the postseason outcome, you're a winner in the game of life. I agree. I don't know how that tournament turned out or whether they even won the game, but I know that he for sure is a winner. And finally, class can't be bought, but it's very often noticed, and you, Coach Cheeks, have it. So keep building those important relationships, because no learning takes place with the adult learner and the student without them. Our next strategy, number 5 in our itty bitty strategy book, is going to be visuals. Visuals. When we show adult learners visuals, one thing it does is it builds credibility. I have been referencing different resources on your live binder and using a PowerPoint and having a screen with my picture in it to present to you. Visuals, for one thing, help the adult visual learner to focus, and they also build credibility. Here is a book, a really good one, Made to Stick by Dan and Chip Heath. And they say if we can make content sticky by using visuals, it'll help adult learners remember it better. So for example, say I was teaching a unit on the war in Afghanistan. Think if I showed the following visuals, how some of the concepts I was teaching would stick in the minds of my adult learners. So visuals help our visual learners, of course. It helps concepts become sticky in the mind of people. And also, visuals are a great way to communicate, which this next funny video reminds us. All right, communication is so important, as that video showed us, and visuals are a great way to communicate. I want you to pause the video at this point, and I want you to meet with your summer date off of our seasonal date sheet that we made. Meet with your summer date, and what I want you to talk to them about is, what do you feel is the most challenging aspect of adult professional learning? For you, what is the most challenging aspect of adult professional learning? And I'll see you back when you restart the video. Strategy number 6 out of 7 is reciprocal teaching. Reciprocal teaching. And when we talk about reciprocal teaching for the adult learner, what we're talking about is there's not one teacher in the room that is just dispelling all of their knowledge into empty buckets. That's what we used to think of as education. The students were empty buckets. The teacher was the one full of the knowledge, and they just poured out all of their knowledge into the empty buckets. We now know that everybody, especially if you're teaching adult learners, everybody brings a lifetime of experience to the classroom, and you want to draw on that experience. We know that the most important learning takes place when participants are interacting with each other. It's no longer the model of the sage on the stage. We are now a community of learners. So to prove that to you, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to go around the room and add up the number of years you all have of teaching experience. So pause the video, and for example, I've taught for 20 years, so you would add 20 to whatever everybody else in the room, how many years they have taught. So I'll see you in a few minutes after you've added up your total number of years in the room. All right, hopefully you've had time to add up the total number of years of teaching experience in the room, and that is just to illustrate to you how ridiculous it would be for me to stand up here and say, oh, I know everything there is to know about adult learning, and I'm going to tell you what you need to know, instead of drawing on the hundreds of years of experience that you probably have as a classroom together of teaching experience. So it just reminds us that when we're working with the adult learner, we want to get them in groups to share their expertise and share their knowledge and make great use of their knowledge. Before we do our final strategy number 6, I just want to remind us that what we want to avoid is something called the pigeon approach to professional development. That's where the staff developer flies into the room, drops their load of information on the participants, and flies out. What we want is the opposite of that, which is something called transfer. In education, we have a problem of we're ever learning and never doing. We've got all this information, but we don't use what we learn sometimes. Like, I think we've had a lot of fun together in our time here virtually, but if we don't use anything that we've learned, it's kind of all been a waste of time. So it's up to the leader of the professional learning to set a high expectation that what they taught will be used by the adult learner. So I want to do that with you today. I want to set that high expectation. And when we started this presentation, I told you that I wanted you to pick one of the strategies, whether it was music or movement or relationships or an idea that you got from somebody in your family at your table, and share that one idea that you've never used in the past that you promise to use in the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a snowball fight here in July. Dr. Burke provided you with a blank piece of paper, and on that piece of paper, I want you to write your name, your email address, And then the one thing that you got out of this presentation that you're going to use within the next 30 days or the next time that you teach adult learners. And then I want you to wad up that piece of paper. And I'm going to give you some time to do that. You can go ahead and pause the video till you get your name, your email, and your one idea that you've never used before that you promise to use in the future. And then when you come back, we're going to have our snowball fight. So hopefully you've had some time to get those snowballs made. On the count of 3, you're going to throw those snowballs at each other. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let them go. Let them fly. Now, before they melt, I want you to run around and pick up somebody else's snowball, open it up and read it. And in 30 days from today, I want you to email that person. You've got their name, you've got their email address, and I want you to say, hey, just emailing you to remind you to see how it went using whatever strategy they were going to use. And that serves as a great reminder to them to either use the strategy, or they can email you back and say, hey, it worked great, or I would tweak this, or let you know what happened. So our final video of our time together is a great reminder to use transfer. This guy really knows how to transfer information from one arena into another. Oh, ladies, we wouldn't be like that, would we? But it's a reminder for transfer. Please don't forget to join us at a workshop at the Learning Center in the future. And I've really enjoyed my time with you today. Thank you for your attention. And please continue to look up the resources on your live binder and contact me if I can be of any help. Have a great rest of your summer.